Hello everyone, and welcome to the final part of our Fractured Crown set review. I'm super excited to get into it. Today we'll be covering wind and advanced elements. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in. Alrighty, so Anthem of Vitality, 2 cost. You guys know how it goes by now. I'll give impression, design, playability. Target animal or base ally gets +3 health and gains spell shell till end of turn. Harmonize, if you have to melody card this turn, put 2 buff counters on an animal or beast you control. Fast speed, it's protection, stops removal. Harmonize isn't that big of a thing since this is going to be a reactive card. Initial impression, I'm going to give it 3 stars. I feel like it's a great defensive tool. You're never really going to do offensive tool. And the Harmonize is just, I guess you could banish Flute as a tamer if you really need those 2 buff counters. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be utilizing that part of the thing much. Design of the card, I think is very interesting. I know they're trying to really help tamers, so I'm going to give it 4 stars. I understand what they're doing, and I appreciate it. Playability wise, gonna put it on 3 stars. I think it's playable in sideboard if you're scared against sweeps, but other than that, it's an alright card. It also stops Rai from removing your allies very easily, which is super beneficial. Korhazi Outlook. I love all these Korhazi cycle we got of the new ones. Really cool. First impression of the card. Well, first let's read it. Cost 2. On enter, put a prep counter on your champion. Last bonus, remove a prep counter from a champion. Glimpse 1. Opponents can only activate cards this turn, or can't activate cards this turn. Activate this only during your turn. So this stops your opponent from playing stuff on your turn, which is super cool. It locks them out. And you could use this if you need 0 interaction, like start of your turn, just like, whoop, I'm gonna rush you down with allies this turn. That first impression, 5 stars. I really like the artwork too. Design of the card, super interesting. I like how it limits interaction and allows you to glimpse 1, which is, it's not needed, but it's a cool little added benefit that they gave you to help you sort of like dig. I'm gonna give it 4 stars on the design. Playability will also get 4 stars. I think this card will see play once Wind Assassin sees play. Dematerialize. Slow speed, 3 costs. Return target Regalia to its owner's material deck. Now, first impression of this card, I'm going to give it 3 stars because I'm just like, wow, it's a slow speed. That's not really going to do much. But let's get into design and playability. Design of this card is, wow, slow speed. That's not going to do much. And then it occurred to me, well, if you dematerialize Lorraine's sword she's keeping for Ascension combo, then you could put her down a turn. Or if Mordred has his water sword out and you're going to die to it next turn, you could do that. There's a lot of like space that this Regalia, or this card can target with Regalia. It can hit a Rise spellbook that's chilling on the field, Tamer's Regalia. And it's sort of just like, it gets rid of Nullifying Lantern. And not that that's a problem in Win, but a design, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I thought the design of this card was really interesting once you like sit down and actually think about it. Playability though, we're just going to go ahead and give it 3 stars. I still don't think it's super playable. However, I could see some people running it. This plays. I really like Morgan in the artwork, yeeting this man. 2 cost, wind, fast speed, cleric, mage, spell. Banish target ally, then return it to this field under its owner's control. Class bonus, put an enlightenment counter on your champion. This is a flicker, and this is a really good flicker, because when Rai can run the arcane elemental, the 7/7, you attack with it, flicker it, then attack again, so that's 14 damage, which is really beneficial. So I feel like this card is crazy. Impression, 4 stars. Design, I'm going to give it 5 stars. I think this card is really well designed. It's something that we do need in the game. It's not like a Zephyr, which at end of turn, this is an instant speed blink. And I feel like a lot of the time, this card will be used aggressively for win decks on your own things instead of getting rid of your opponent's stuff. Playability wise, I'll give it 4 stars. I think 100% playable in any win deck, especially win mage deck. Green Slime, look how happy that is. Cost 3, Pride 3. On enter, put 2 buff counters on Green Slime. Then your class bonus. On leave, put the buff counters that were on Green Slime on target ally you control. Impression, 5 stars. Super cute. Stat line is 01, which isn't good, but with the on-enter effect, it's actually a 2-3 for 3, which is really nice. And if you are in Tamer, the fact that if it does die, you can put counters on another creature. And the important part about it is on leave. So if you blink, let's say use Displace on this green slime, you can start getting those buff counters moving around and still garner value. So the design was really thought through. And I feel like this is sort of the wind identity Tamers need. And I'm super happy to print it like that. So I'm going to give it a 5-star design and a 5-star on playability, because why not run this in Wind Tamer? Innervate Agility. So this is the Innervate card that I'm super excited about compared to the others that we discussed in the last video, because this is our 2-cost Fast Speed 1. As an additional cost to this card, D-level champion, recover 5. And then units you control gain the choice of Stealth or Spell Shell to end of turn. This is your counter against Lorraine and Rydex when you're in Wind. I'm not sure when needed something, but this one in particular is going to be played a lot. I'm going to give it a 5-star impression. The fact that you can just give yourself Stealth or Spell Shell to whatever your opponent's doing, and it's fast speed, which is such an important part. You can D-level on your opponent's turn, recover 5, so you still heal, and then let's say you're Win Lorraine, and you could D-level from level 3, go back into level 3, that gets your sword back, which everyone knows you're going to get your drawn blade back from banishment. So you draw an additional card, it replaces itself at that point, it's valuable, I like it a lot. Design, 5 stars. Playability, we'll give it 4 stars for playability, just because I don't think it'll be an auto-include in any Wind deck, but I think the majority of Wind decks, about 90%, will be running this card. Intrepid Spearman, the card that has caused many people to freak out about it and talk about it and have a conversation, and I believe there's already going to be an errata for this card as well, and you'll see why when we read it. 4 cost, level 1+, the first time attack damage would be dealt to Intrepid Spearman each turn. Reveal a card at random from your memory. If that card is Wind, prevent 3 of that damage. It's a 2/2. Impression, we'll give it 4 stars. And the reason why there's so much confusion about this card is saying the first time this card would be dealt damage, reveal a card from your memory. If it's a winning card, prevent 3 of that damage. Now let's say it gets attacked for 2, you reveal a card from your memory, it's Wind, you prevent that damage. Therefore, attack damage has not been dealt to Intrepid Spearman, and so if it would be attacked again, the ability would check and says, oh, the first time it would take attack damage, you do it. Because even though it's been attacked, it hasn't taken attack damage, so the ability can still proc. I believe they are going to errata this card to say, very much, it only works once. If it's attacked once, you reveal a card, Win, prevent 3 of the damage. Now, if it's attacked again, it doesn't prevent anything again. I believe that's the way they intended it to work, but we'll see what develops. I'll probably make a video about it once the official rulings come out. Design, I'm going to give it a 3-star. I think it's cool, but also confusing. Playability, we'll give it 3 stars. I feel like it's going to be going the ally-heavy strategy. Super cool. I also like how it's like a scythe weapon in the artwork. Sorry, very distracted there. I really do like the artwork. Mark of Fervor. So this is a Fantasia ally link. Linked ally gets +1/+1 and has Vigor. 2 cost. Impression, 1 star. I personally think this card is bad, and you're gonna get 2 for 1 so frequently and often by playing this card. Let me explain. The reason is in the design. The design as a Fantasia ally link is you put this on an ally. If the ally or this if it goes away, you also sacrifice this. If the ally goes away, you also sacrifice this object. You're probably going to put this on your early game cards, so sort of like squirrels, wolves, things like that. The vigor won't matter unless it has intercept or you have cry for help, or if it's a really valuable target that your opponent's trying to remove, and you could 1-for-1 trade. But most of the time, 1 attack, 1 health, things are still going to be 2 or 3 health, maybe 4, and that's still in the range of a lot of removal. And so you'll get 1 extra attack in, and then it will just be removed as easily as it would have done before. So the flaws in the design itself, I think it should give it 2 health at least, just to try and make it survive longer. The 1 health is kind of negligible in my opinion. So we'll give the design 2 stars. Playability, I'll give it a 1 star. Arsnet, Royal Maid, big fan of this card. I really like the artwork. Ability wise, 2 cost, level 2+ stealth, and then you could Tap it to glimpse 1, reveal the top card of your deck. When you reveal a wind element card this way, target ally you control gains stealthy on the turn. Perfect way to save some of your allies on the field that you don't want to be dead. And I feel like this kind of interaction at instant speed to save some stuff is really, really cool. Impression, 5-star. Design, I'm going to give it 4-star. I feel like we need more cards with this kind of interaction. And plus, at level 2, it becomes hard to remove itself. The only thing about stealth, though, is I think we need more true sight options. But we'll get into that later. Playability, I don't think this card's going to be really meta-defining at all. But I do feel like people will run this card. It's not specific to a class in itself. And so I could see a lot of like Lorraine decks or warrior decks running it. Maybe if there's a Wind Assassin deck, we could go ahead and get this on. And even in Wind Rye, I could see it being ran to protect your Enlightenment Mage. Playability, will give it 3-star. And the CSR is absolutely beautiful as well. Rally the Peasants. A very interesting card. Last bonus, this costs 3 less to activate if opponent controls 3 or more allies, which it gets pretty common. It's a slow speed. We'll look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You may reveal a human from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Initial impression of this card, 2 stars. It has so much potential. I really thought this card was going to be bonkers when I was reading it and I saw it in the class bonus. I'm like, oh, it costs less to activate. Design of the card, I'm going to give it 2 stars. And the reason for that is I think it should really have a stipulation of look at the top 6 cards of your deck, reveal a human card of cost like 3 or less from among them, and play it onto the field. So as just adding it to your hand implies you have to have more cards in hand to play that human. And if the class bonus of cost 3 less to activate means you're already behind, why does adding a card to your hand and not playing onto field, it's not beneficial. You would rather have it on the field so you don't have to pay for it. So I think if it played it onto the field and had a stipulation of the activation cost of what you could grab, it would be a lot better. Playability, I'm going to give it a 1-star. I don't think people will be playing it much. I would love to be proven wrong, though. Scatter Essence. Destroy target Fantasia, floating memory. So this is also another hate card for Fantasias that will be going around. Keep in mind some things that are Fantasias are going to be fractals, the ally link ones that we just went over. So there is a lot of targets to set for that. I do wish it was fast speed, but it makes sense why they want to put it slow speed. And then the floating memory is nice. I feel like you just run this in sideboard or maybe 2 of main board. Initial impression, 3 stars. Design, it's basic. Floating memory is nice. It's there. This card's here for a purpose. It's because there's Fantasias to set and we need some interaction with it. 3-star design. Playability, 3-star. This is an average card. Run of the mill as we can get. Awesome. Wind Rider Invoker. I really do enjoy this card, and I'll tell you why. On enter, you may remove 2 enlightenment counters from this champion. If you do, draw a card. Then it gets +3 until end of turn. So this is strictly better than, I believe, one of the fire cards we looked at, the Bowman, who when he enters, he gets +3 attack and can't be retaliated. This is strictly better just because it draws you a card, which replaces itself, and enlightenment counters aren't that big. You can easily get them back. But yeah, the main thing is it replaces itself, and it's not a class bonus. A 4 damage attack for 3 is great. Impression, 5-star. Design, 4-star. I think they did a really awesome job with it. And playability, I'm going to give it a 4-star as well. Shock Therapy. Now we're getting, that's all the win cards. Now we're getting into the advanced elements. 2 costs. Last bonus, elemental bonus. When this card is banished from your memory, put an enlightenment counter on your champion. And then when you cast it, deal an amount of damage to target ally equal to the amount of enlightenment counters on your champion. I don't think it's that important that you're casting this card. I think the main thing is going to be when you're banishing this card. And plus, it's just another arcane card to help feed the Rye decks. Impression, 3 stars. I'm really happy that it says deal damage to an ally and not a unit. Rye does not need more fast speed deal damage cards. Design, I like the design a lot. It's interesting. It reminds me of sort of like Luxem cards, how it has class and elemental bonus. So it really like you can only run this in Rye. Design, 5-star. And then playability, I think people are just going to play it because it's another arcane card. I don't think people are going to play it for any other reason, so I'll give it 3 stars. Voltaic Sphere. This is one of the arcane cards that I think is going to make a big difference. And the reason is it's a 2-cost, deal 3 damage to target unit. If that unit is an ally, deal 5 damage to it instead. Very encouraging to remove allies, but also can hit face, and as an SR, it should be able to have that option. But the kicker is class bonus, banish Voltaic Sphere from your graveyard. The next arcane element spell you activate this turn costs 1 less to activate. That is going to be the cool thing that everyone's going to be using this card for, is to help reduce your cost of just that 1 more. I think it's going to be very, very beneficial. The fact that it says spell card, though, hurts because I really wish you could use it with Arcane Elemental. Impression, 4 stars. Design, I feel like it's really well designed. As an SR, it gives you unit damage benefit, though, if you hit an ally, and it does something in the graveyard. Helps you if you discard it early in fire, can still do something late. I'm going to give it 4-star design. Playability, obviously going to be played 5 stars. Incarnate Majesty. So this is Merlin's secret tech. It's a class bonus efficiency. Keep in mind it's a mage spell, so it's only going to work with Merlin, who is a mage warrior champion, until maybe we get more Crux champions out there. This card costs 1 less to cast for each Regalia weapon card in your banishment. So this does stack with efficiency. Keep that in mind. It reduces by your level as a class bonus and the amount of Regalia weapons in your banishment. What it does is you put a card named Majestic Spirit from your mature deck or banishment onto the field. So at best, if Merlin's level 3, no extra counters, and you have used ring, sword, so that's 6. So it's a 6 cost, just like in Ensoul, for a 4/12 with a bunch of keywords, and it just has way more upside than that. If you have Ensouled before, or you are playing Ghost Strikes, which you're banishing stuff for your attacks to get +1. Impression, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think the card is cool, but it's mostly Merlin support, and I don't know. I don't think Incarnate Mastery is super, or the thing it creates is super good, the Majestic Spirit, but I think the Incarnate Mastery is a really good, well-designed card, so I'm going to give it 5 stars for the design. Playability, it's only going to be played in Merlin decks. I assume people are going to run it to be like, yeah, Merlin. I don't know how good it's going to be. I'm going to give it 2-star playability, as it only has 1 deck, and I feel like Ensoul's just still better in Merlin. Slay the King. A Crux card I'm excited for to throw into a Lorraine deck. Immediately gonna give it 5-star impression. I don't even have to read it, but we'll read it. 2 cost. Class bonus, on attack, you may banish a card from your material deck. If you do, Slay the King gains on kill. You may play the banished card. It's a 4 damage attack for 2, which is really good. On kill is pretty much saying you want to hit allies on the field. You're really not going face, but it's still a really good go face card if you need 4 damage plus a sword, like 5 or 6. It's just like a devastating blow, but for cheaper. But the on kill play a banish card was going to be so cool because it helps you cheat out swords. If you really need to, if you want to get that drawn blade out for free without having to pay that floating memory. You could even get your ring out, although I don't know if you'll have your ring that late game, but I do enjoy that. The only problem is if you don't kill, that card just stays banished, but it does benefit like Merlin and even Lorraine. If you're Ensouling, you could just play it back from Ensoul. Design 4 stars, playability 5 stars, super playable in any Crux deck. Illuminate Secrets. Xander getting some more toys. It's a 2-cost, fast speed, deal an amount of damage to target unit equal to its owner's influence minus your influence. Influence, as we discussed, is a new mechanic in this set where it is the amount of cards in hand and memory. So the more influence you have, the more cards you have in your hand and memory, the card advantage, one word say. So this pretty much encourages you to dump everything early, draw this, and if your opponent's trying to value train out with a bunch of cards, you cast this on them, and you deal a bunch of damage because they have a lot of cards and you have none. Impression, it's cheeky, I like it. It's a great way to build a deck around, to be like, hey, if I can fire Xander, I'm going to just dump my hand, get to late game, and hopefully get this card and deal you a bunch of damage because I have no cards, you have a bunch. 4-star impression. Design of a card, I can't be too harsh on it. I'll give it 4 stars. I think it's a gateway card into what we can do with the influence mechanic. Playability, I don't think it's going to be played as much as what we have right now with our Lightweaver's Assaults or Gleaming Cuts, but there can be a reason for it, and I think maybe Windzander might be able to do something with it. Who knows? 2-star playability. Uther, Illustrious King, 4 cost, Intercept, Vigor, 4/4. On enter, you may rest Uther. When you do, banish another target non-champion object. On leave, return the banished object to the field under its owner's control. Impression, 5-star. This card's super cool. If anyone's familiar with Magic the Gathering, this has an O-ring effect or an Oblivion Ring effect. On enter, you banish something, but exactly the way it's worded on the on enter and on leave is if on enter, if the ability is on the stack, and let's say you displace this guy or Zephyr him, he will get removed. Then the on enter ability will resolve since it's already on the stack. You banish something, and then he enters and you banish something again. The first thing that you targeted and banished will stay permanently banished because the instance of the card that banished it is no longer there, so the on leave effect is not there anymore either. So this can be a very cheeky card in Wind for Xander decks, and I'm super excited to see what people do with it because it's super strong. 5-star design. I'm gonna get 5-star playability because I'm gonna play it in a Xander decks. I want to see what cool stuff I can do with it, and I think it's just a solid ally. Way better than Trisket, unfortunately. It's what Trisket aspires to be. Avatar of Gaia. Ally Link, class bonus Preserve, which is great. I feel like that's sort of Terra's shtick is Preserve. And then Linked Ally has Taunt and loses Pride. Super helpful. I think this is one of the big cards that's going to help Sylvie, is because you get those big Pride cards out of the way. You no longer have to build up levels. You could focus on going wide with allies. And the fact that this is an ally itself and not a Regalia is even more beneficial because you could have multiple copies in it. Hang on to it, ready for when you play like your big creature, and then it has Preserve, so even if it does die, you can get it back your next turn for your next thing. Impression, 5-star. Design, 5-star. Playability, 5-star. Sylvies will need this card, and they are going to be happy with it. Oh, speaking of Sylvies, this is going to be their next big bomb, which I think, once again, Terra really needed. They need a win con, and this is going to be it. 5 cost. As an additional cost to this card, banish 2 Preserve cards from your Imperial deck. Now, the problem is there is not a lot of Preserve, so you got to get those Terrasites or those Meta Bloom Druids or even that last card we just saw. But it has Keyword Soup, Intercept, Spell Shroud, True Sight, and Vigor. It's a 6/8, and class bonus, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck and put them into your material deck preserved. So it refills itself getting ready. If it dies, you can play another one. Impression, 4 stars. Design of this card, there's a lot going on with it. I personally am not the biggest fan of it, but I feel like gamer players need something like this, so I'm going to give it a 4-star design. Playability, 4 stars as well. I feel like if you build your deck around this card will treat you well and do great. And that is it. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into my Grand Archive Fractured Crown set review. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making these videos, and I hope to bring you so many more here in the future. Of course, as always, if you find that hidden Lorraine in the video, go ahead and comment, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.